because there's principles here that in communication, techniques that she uses in communication, that even though this is thousands of years ago, are still very, very applicable today. And we could learn, we could all use these skills. Look at this. I'm going to pick it up in verse 23. It says, when Abigail saw David, she hurried and dismounted from her donkey and fell on her face before David and bowed herself to the ground. So the first thing she does is she bows to the ground, which could be significant or insignificant. It's easy to read past all of that and going, well, that's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Because what she did is she revealed to David that she's not a threat. She also revealed to David that he was worthy of respect. And she gave, listen, this was amazing. She gave David what he needed most, not what she needed most. What she needed most was her life saved, her family's life saved. But she gave David what David needed most. What David needed most was respect. And she starts by bowing. And here's point number one in a technique that she uses is you have to create a safe environment. What I mean by that is any relationship in which there is safety, you can communicate, you can talk about anything. If both people in the relationship feel safe, you can discuss anything. Anything's on the table, you can talk anything. Difficult, not difficult, like you can talk about anything. The moment that one or both parties feel unsafe, you can't talk about anything. Like if one or more, both parties feels unsafe, you can't have a discussion. You can't talk about anything. So the first thing that Abigail does that is significant, hugely significant, is Abigail makes David feel safe by saying, I am not a threat. I recognize your authority. I'm bowed down before you, so I'm not gonna threaten to stab you or kill you. I'm giving you the respect you need. Not what I need, I'm giving you the respect you need. And she immediately makes David feel safe enough to listen to her next comment. Because as she approached, David could have just said, oh, here comes one of Nabal's. I'm on a mission, wipe her off. But she bows down right away and makes David feel safe enough to listen. So the key to a relationship and communication is, are we safe? Do we feel safe? Do I feel safe? Does whoever I'm communicating with feel safe? And if there's a lack of safety, how do we create safety so that we can have a conversation? So the second thing she does is, it says, she fell at his feet and said, on me alone, my Lord, be the blame. Which, when you read this, you're going, well, there is nothing that she's done wrong. And you might say, well, she married Nabal, but even that wasn't her choice. In those days, that wasn't her choice. Right? And then she says, on me alone, my Lord, be the blame. I'm fascinated by this comment, but yet this comment is brilliant. It's brilliant on multiple facets. Number one, this comment on me alone, my Lord, be the blame is brilliant because number one, she accepts responsibility, which we learned in the last series, gives you the ability to respond. Okay, when you accept responsibility, you now have the ability to respond. The second reason why it's brilliant is because by communicating on me alone be the blame, she gave herself the authority to speak on behalf of all the household that David's going to wipe out. She gave herself, by accepting responsibility, she gave herself the authority to deal with David. Had she not done this, she's just a woman. She's just a wife who just like David could have just passed on, bowed down, yeah, fine, and moved on and left her on the ground and just walked by and did what he wanted to do. When she starts the conversation by saying, hey, on me and me alone, be the blame and accept responsibility, it gave her the ability to respond and it gave her the authority to speak, which this is key because what we like to do, don't we live in a society that we value being right more than anything else? Like we live in a society that being right is, and she wasn't wrong in anything, and yet she accepted the wrong. And we're in a society that is so afraid of being wrong. Nobody watches Facebook? Where we fight on who's right and all my rights and all the rest of it. Man, the communication that happens on Facebook, I was like, number one, it's not safe. Number two, everyone wants to be right. But not everyone can be right. And when's the last time you heard somebody say, hey, on me and me alone, I'm responsible? What? I'd pay attention, wouldn't you, to that Facebook post. You know what the problem with my country is? Me. Now I'm listening. Isn't that right? You see what she did? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. David's listening. And then she says this, verse 24, and please let your maidservant speak to you and listen to the words of your maidservant. The third thing that she does is she gives respect. You know, she accepts the responsibility. Third thing, she asks for permission, which is another way of creating safety. Because here's what I know. In a highly tense situation, it's respectful to ask for permission. You can't just assume that your wife is ready to have the discussion, that your husband is ready to have the conflict, that your boss is ready to have that conversation, that tough conversation. You can't always assume it. It's respectful to say, hey, we need to talk about this. Is it okay? Can we talk now? Asking permission is a huge sign of respect, but it's also another way of creating safety. So she asked for permission. Then she goes on and she says, please do not let my Lord pay attention to this worthless man, Nabal. Yikes. For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name and folly is with him. The word Nabal means fool. So she's like, yeah, he was aptly named is what she's saying. Right? Nabal is his name and folly is with him. But I, your maidservant, did not see the young men of my Lord whom you sent. You can look at this and going, okay, this is just a wife sick of her husband, dissing her husband. Wait. How she started the conversation is everything. She started the conversation on me. Remember? She said, on me and me alone be the blame. She accepted responsibility. She didn't just cast the responsibility on her husband. She accepted, it's my fault. Me is the blame. Then at the same time, she didn't deny the problem. She knew the problem. She knew David knew the problem, and she wasn't going to skirt around the problem. And let's not say what the real issue. She said she identified the problem, and this is step number 4: is clearly define the problem. In conflict is the space between what you expect and what you experience. Conflict is the space between. It's that gap between what you expect and what you experience. If you have an expectation and the experience is different than your expectation, there's a gap. And the greater the distance between your expectation and your experience, the greater the conflict. And the key to every healthy conversation and every conflict resolution, the key is to clearly identify what that space is, what that gap is. And the more clear you can define that space, it often starts by defining your expectation, but the more clearly you can define what that space is, the more clearly we can actually resolve the problem.